Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Big Akar Ahmed, and welcome to today's video. Today, we're going to be talking about Ben Shapiro, as he has the stance that Barack Obama, yes, Barack Hussein Obama, is one of the worst, if not the worst, and most anti-Israel presidents of all of history. So, Barack Obama hates Israel. Let's go ahead and see what Ben has to say about this.
In the end, it's probably the Jews' fault what's going on right now. It's not just Joe Biden who's telling this big lie, number one, which is that Israel, if it weren't for America, Israel would just be gloves off murdering people. Barack Obama, of course, does this as well. Now,
that is true. If it wasn't for America and the ties and the public image of Israel, they would just be doing whatever they wanted. They would be literally just slaughtering the whole entire. They'd blow up Gaza with one button and they'd take it. But because America's watching and the international community is watching, everyone, they have to do this in a very strategic way, and they're impatient. So, yeah, that is 100% true. And also, without America, you wouldn't be able to blow anything off of anyone or kill anyone. But, yeah.
Barack Obama, I said many, many years ago, is effectively anti-Semitic in his approach to Israel. This has been true since he became president. Barack Obama is the only president in American history who tried to deny aid to Israel in the middle of, he literally tried to stop the resupply of Iron Dome in the middle of a war in 2014. Barack Obama stocked his administration with people who despise Israel. Most anti-Israel president in my lifetime, bar none, not close. And so it's no shock, which again, melds with Barack Obama's anti-colonialist worldview, which is really a left-wing worldview left over from the 1960s, the basic idea being that the West and its tentacles are everywhere and must be fought everywhere. There was a shift in how Israel was perceived on the far left. From 1948 to 67, Israel was considered actually an anti-colonial state because it had thrown off the British and had allowed the indigenous people of Judea, namely the Jews, to return to their homeland. And then after the Jews won in 67, the Soviet Union decided that Israel was too pro-Western. And so they ginned up this whole new post-colonialist nonsense where Israel is actually a Western colonial occupier, which is an amazing switch in time to save time. But Barack Obama really believes that. That's how he talks about the state of Israel on a routine basis. In fact, in a speech that he made while he was president, talking about the roots of the state of Israel, he didn't attribute it to Israel's historic presence. He didn't attribute it to, Jewish history or Jewish presence. He attributed it all to the Holocaust, meaning Israel was a colonial state, right? That's Barack Obama's mindset. So he has said virtually nothing about this entire conflict. And now he puts out a statement, thoughts on Israel and Gaza, because we needed to hear from him. He was so successful in this arena, was Barack Obama. We need to hear from him. So he throat clears for a couple of paragraphs about how Hamas is bad. Right? It's been 17 days since Hamas launched its horrific attack against Israel, killing over 1,400 Israeli citizens, including defenseless women, children, and the elderly. As I stated in an earlier post, Israel has a right to defend itself. But, right? And there's the big but, as we say. But even as we support Israel, we should also be clear that how Israel prosecutes this fight against Hamas matters. In particular, it matters, as Joe Biden has repeatedly emphasized, that Israel's military strategy abides by international law, including those laws that seek to avoid to every extent possible the death or suffering of civilian populations. Upholding those values is important for its own sake, because it is morally just and reflects our belief in the inherent value of everyday life. By the way, if you cared about any of this, the first priority is the destruction of Hamas. They're the biggest human rights violators on the planet right now. And yet, I don't see Barack Obama talking about that.
Okay, Hamas is definitely not the largest human rights violators on the planet. You have countries that are going full-blown panic attack. You have Israel that has just killed over 30,000 Palestinians, more than half of those being women and children. So you have to understand that Hamas being, the biggest human rights violators because they flew in on some bicycles with, with a hot air balloon attached to the back of it or whatever, with a fan attached to the back of it, like their Inspector Gadget or something of this nature, is kind of crazy to think about when you have, groups like ISIS and the Taliban, when you have what's happening in Haiti go on, when you see what's happening in Ukraine, when you see what your own Israeli army, the IDF, has completely done to Gaza, what you guys are doing in the West Bank as you are illegally occupying millions of human beings and pushing them out of their land. It's kind of crazy that you call Hamas the biggest human rights violators, right? Yeah, they violate human rights. Yeah, you want to deem them as a terrorist organization, deem them as a terrorist organization. But come on now, to say that they're the biggest, human rights violators on the whole entire planet right now is actually insanity.
Sort of stuff. By the way, he says that he supports Biden's call for the United.
And I also find it funny that Barack Obama's not allowed to say, right? But, if you tell your kid, hey, listen, like I have a kid, right? Let's say I have a kid. I tell my kid, hey, you're going out, if someone messes with you, don't let someone mess with you. If someone puts their hands on you, you put your hands on them. If someone hits you, you hit them, right? If someone hits my son and my son decides I'm going to murder this person and then kills them because someone punched him, that's a but moment. That's, hey son, defend yourself, but maybe you shouldn't murder the guy that you are trying to, trying to get back at, or give an eye for an eye. Maybe so if someone punches you in the arm, just hit them back in the arm. Someone pushes you, maybe just push them. There's no need if someone pushes you to literally end their life, right? So there is room for buts, Ben Shapiro. So I don't know why you're so keen to the but. It's kind of funny to me.
The United States to support Israel in going after Hamas, dismantling its military capabilities, and facilitating the safe return of hundreds of hostages to their family. But, by the way, that is not the opposing of Hamas. You'll notice. Dismantling Hamas's military capacity, but leaving them in place would be just fine, apparently, with Barack Obama. And again, Israel has to be leveraged. We have to, Barack Obama's going to stand there. He's going to tell them, all those Jews, if I don't tell them, if they need to stop, and they're just going to go in there and they're going to be brutal. They're going to be horrible. And then he says, this is an enormously difficult task. War is always tragic. Even the most carefully planned military operations often put civilians at risk. As President Biden noted during his recent visit to Israel, America itself has at times fallen short of our higher values when engaged in war. And in the aftermath of 9/11, the U.S. government wasn't interested in heeding the advice of even our allies when it came to steps we took to protect ourselves against al-Qaeda. Now, after the systematic massacre of Israeli citizens, a massacre that evokes some of the darkest memories of persecution against Jewish people, it's understandable. Many Israelis have demanded their government do whatever it takes to root out Hamas and make sure the attacks never happen again. Still, again, two big buts in one piece. Still, the world is watching closely as events in the region unfold. Any military strategy that ignores the human cost could ultimately backfire. Here, and again, there it is, right there it is. If Israel defends itself, they're just going to be planting the seeds for more anti-Semitic attacks, which means it's really Israel's fault. It's really Israel's fault in the end. If Israel goes in too hard and they take out Hamas, but Hamas has put too many civilians in front of its rockets, well, all that's going to do is it's going to create more terror against Israel. And then really, who's to blame?
What do you mean put more civilians in front of the rockets? Where are the civilians going to go? In a land that's this big that you guys are bombing from the sky. Where do you want the civilians to go? Where do you want Hamas to go? If you're trying to root out Hamas in the middle of a small piece of land and you're bombing it and it's 99% civilians, 1% Hamas, and you're just bombing it and blowing it up and shooting whatever you want to shoot and taking tanks into it and airstrikes into it, what makes you think that they're using them as like human shields? Like, oh, here, just, kill my mom, kill my brother. Like, are you okay? Are you mentally stable? And I don't know why Ben is always speaking like he's drank like 12 Monster energy drinks. He's just like, he's just like so like, he's about to jump out of his chair. Ben, you're talking about something that is like, people aren't stupid, bro. Like, people literally have brains. They can critically think. People aren't blind. They see what's happening. No, what Israel is not doing is defending itself. There's a difference between defending yourself, like I was saying earlier, you hit me, I hit you, you push me, I push you. Then there's a difference between like you pushing me and me literally like decapitating you. There's a completely big difference in one and the other. So when Barack Obama is saying, Israel should be able to go ahead and defend itself, but how they decide to deal with it is important, especially when they have hundreds of billions of dollars in United States weaponry. Yes, that is very important when you're dealing with people who throw rocks at you, to be very, very light on how you're dealing with a whole population that is literally in a concentration camp, that is in a dirt concentration camp. You have to be very careful how you're dealing with them. You can't just drop bombs on them. You can't just do what you think is necessary. Oh, I want to defend myself. If someone killed my brother, I'm just going to go kill his whole family and his grandchildren and his grandkids' kids, and infants and his dog and his cat. I'm just going to murder everyone. Did you get this from the Bible, Ben? Right? Like, what is this? Like, what kind of thought process or thinking do you associate with? You play victim. You're a victim. You're like a little kid. But mom, why? It's just like you literally are just playing victim, and you literally speak like a little kid who plays victim.
Jews, says Barack Obama. Because, again, the Israeli government's decision to cut off food, water, and electricity to a captive civilian population threatens not only to worsen a growing humanitarian crisis, it could further harden Palestinian attitudes for generation. Oh, the vaunted Palestinian attitudes, because as we know, they are extremely pliable right now and have been for 30 years. So much pliability, so much attempt for peace, so many peace-seeking people who don't exist. That's obviously that.
Who wants to make peace with someone like you? The only peace here is you're a piece of shit. Other than this, like, no one wants to make peace with people who act like you, right? So you don't see them as human. You don't see that there's any type of boundary line where you should stop when blowing people up. They're just human shields. They're just, they're just extra bodies that are there that hate you and want you dead and want you gone. You're not even there in Israel. Like, if you love Israel so much, why don't you go there? Why don't you move there? Why do you live in the United States of America? Why do you milk the system that we live in? Like, why? Why don't you move to Israel, since that's your homeland? You're Jewish. You wear a yarmulke. You're so religious. Go back to the homeland that God has provided to you, has given to you, and live there. Just, like, why are you here talking about Barack Obama? Go to Israel and talk about Netanyahu. He's probably a much better topic to be talking about.
That's the big priority. The priority after the murder of 1,500 Jews in Israel and the kidnapping of 200 is the pliability of the Palestinian population. By the way, Israel, I gotta say, the Gaza hospitals, where the power is still largely on, it's like Hanukkah over there. It was 1 day of oil that was supposed to last for 1 day, lasted for 8. We're now like 18 days into the war, and still, magically, there's still some electricity in northern Gaza. By the way, there's still water in many. Why? Because Israel provided 5 to 10% of all the water in the first place. By the way, there's still full power and water in the south of Gaza. The entire purpose of cutting off the water and power in the north is to send people to the south so you can do military operations in the north. But Barack Obama knows that.
Well, this aged very well because this video is 8 months ago. And if you see where Israel is now, they're in the south bombing the south. There's nowhere else to go. So they bombed the north. They bombed a little less than the north. They bombed the middle. They bombed the south. And they've now bombed the furthest you could possibly go south onto the Egyptian border. So where are people supposed to go, Ben Shapiro? 8 months down the line now, here we are, as you're eating your own words. It's crazy.
Instead, he's just promoting this lie. And it goes on and on and on and on. Pure Talk recently announced they would alleviate $10 million in Rally Together, showing university is ranked in the top 20. Long essay lecturing the Jews, of course. He says, finally, in dealing with what is an extraordinarily complex situation, again, there's the complexity. There's so much nuance, so much complexity, because standing in the moral middle allows you to stand with the bad guys while pretending that you're not. He says, in dealing with what's an extraordinarily complex situation where so many...
Yeah, you would say it's complex if you understand with Israel, but it's really not complex. There's a genocide going on. You are literally occupying a whole entire group of people that you pushed out of the nation less than 100 years ago because your people were pushed out of Germany, so you needed to push other people out and play the bully. And now everything that you do that is completely wrong, that is horrific, that is a war crime, is a self-defense tactic. You play the victim. When anyone ever says anything about you, you can run around and kill whoever you want. But when someone says, hey, stop killing, you go, oh my God, I'm the victim. Why are you coming after me? You're anti-Semitic. And this is how it's going. This is the repeated process that we're going through. And it's so sick and it's so sad.
Are in pain and passions are understandably running high. All of us need to do our best to put our best values rather than our worst fears on displays. That means actively opposing anti-Semitism in all of its forms everywhere. It means rejecting efforts to minimize the terrible tragedy the Israeli people have just endured. Notice the Israeli people, not the Jewish people, the Israeli people, as well as the morally bankrupt suggestion that any cause can somehow justify the deliberate slaughter of innocent people. It means rejecting anti-Muslim, anti-Arab, or anti-Palestinian sentiment. It means refusing to lump all Palestinians with Hamas or other terrorist groups. It means guarding against dehumanizing language toward the people of Gaza. Okay, how about this? How about none of this has been dehumanizing? Civilians in Gaza are still civilians, and it's Hamas's fault they're in the way.
Where do you want them to go? How is it Hamas's fault that the civilians are in the way? They're sitting in their house and they're getting blown up. What do you want them to do? Like, you make absolutely no sense. You literally act like Hamas is grabbing them and holding them up as shields, as legit shields. Are you okay, Ben? Are you literally okay? And yeah, I'm getting upset because I literally can't believe my ears. You would think someone who has gone to school, who has a degree, who debates people and goes to colleges and has a whole entire news network, who is holding 7 million subscribers on his YouTube channel, someone who's prominent in the academic field, would have just a little bit of common sense when they speak. But no, when you're talking about Israel, when you're talking about the Jews, victim, 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 reality doesn't have to be reality. I'm just going to make up a fairy tale story. We're the victim, poor us, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. It's crazy.
Quote, it means acknowledging that Palestinians have also lived in disputed territories for generations, that many of them were not only displaced when Israel was formed, but continue to be forcibly displaced by a settler movement that too often has received tacit or explicit support from the Israeli there it is. It's the two states, all the settlers, all the usual reasons why Palestinian desire for Israeli extermination is totally fine. It's because somebody built a bathroom in a fraud. That's really...
No, it's why these illegal settlements in the West Bank and the torture that you have put upon the Gaza Strip for the last 30 years is unacceptable. That's why Hamas had formed as a resistance group. That's why everything is at the stage where we're at now. Because your stupid country could not control the money that they were being funded, the billions of dollars in ammo and weaponry. They did not use it properly, and they did not cater to the people of their country properly. They decided to do things the wrong way, and now they're paying the repercussions. No. Do all Jews need to be wiped out and exterminated? No. Well, who is saying that? We're saying that just because Israel's wrong doesn't make Hamas right. Like, what kind of brain processing do you have going on? Like, it really is really irking me, man.
The problem. That Palestinian leaders who've been willing to make concessions for two-state solution have too often had too little to show for their efforts. Who are these Palestinian leaders who've been super willing to make concessions for a two-state solution? Who are they? Name them. Seriously, name them. I'd like to hear. Full list. Go. Oh, you don't have any? Oh, there's a shock. And that it is possible for people of...
Can we name the Israeli leaders who want a two-state solution, who want peace, who don't want to completely just eradicate all the Palestinians, who call them human animals, who dehumanize them, and who are going after them and have been going after them for the last 20 to 30 years? Can you please name me an Israeli president that was so keen to loving the Palestinian people, loving the Arabs, and making peace with the whole entire Middle East? Or is there this idea of the new Middle East with Benjamin Netanyahu and this whole entire, like, to really sit here and think that colonizers don't think like colonizers? You're insane. Israel is a colonizing country. That's all they want to do is colonize land. They're like America, they're like Great Britain. So they're going to try and take Lebanon, they're going to try and take Gaza, they're going to try and take Jordan, they're going to try and take everything because that's what they do. That's just like their job. They're colonizers. They've been colonizing since they colonized the country to begin with. So this is not something that is mind-boggling or confusing in any way, shape, or form. Because the people that are living there decide to fight back, you have people who are colonizing it, colonizing more now. And this is something that is crazy to me when you put it into perspective and you actually understand what is happening here, and you don't just listen to a bunch of, I'm a victim because I'm Jewish and you're anti-Semitic, and don't be anti-Semitic in Israel, and God loves Israel, and God gave Jewish people Israel, and you should love Jewish people because God told you to love Jewish people. This is crazy talk. This is literally straight crazy talk.
Goodwill to champion Palestinian rights and oppose certain Israeli government policies in the West Bank and Gaza without being anti-Semitic. Nobody even made the accusation that you have to agree with everything Israel does. But you do have to look at reality in the face.
You literally are saying that I need to agree with everything Israel does or I'm anti-Semitic. That is literally the claim that you and all of your goon friends make every single time that there's a subject on anything. If you don't agree with everything Israel does, you're anti-Semitic. That's literally how this works.
Reality in the face. The Palestinian Authority seeks the destruction of Israel. They're not shy about this.
And Israel seeks the destruction of the Palestinian Authority and the Palestinians. There is no difference. You are anti-Palestinian, you are anti-Arab, you are Islamophobic, and you are disgusting. I will play the role right back at you.
Lie to the West, and then in Arabic, they say what they actually think, which is solidarity with Hamas. Palestinian Islamic Jihad is a terror group. Hamas is a terror group. I don't understand. Well, I mean, I do. I know exactly what's going on here. You got to promote the lie. And then, of course,
the IDF is a terror group.
He refers to Thomas Friedman and Ben Rhodes and all the people who agree with him on the super moral complexity of the situation, which really amounts to Israel is to blame. Are you tired of the lies and the twist?
Yeah, I'm tired of the lies, Ben. You're lying straight to our face, buddy boy. I wonder if that's why he got rid of Candace here. Candace Owens. Yeah, he decided to get rid of Candace Owens because she was too anti-Semitic, I guess, for his website, right? He runs a website called the Daily Wire. This is a journalist or news ran website or blog or whatever you want to call it, YouTube channel. And he hires different big speakers, right? These big journalists like Jordan Peterson, Candace Owens, and so forth. Candace Owens was recently let go. She was fired from the Daily Wire because she started dabbling in the Israel-Palestine issue here. And the more she started talking about it and speaking about it, the more she started to disappear, the more she was challenged by specific people. People were sending her death threats, telling her she was anti-Semitic because she disagreed with what a government was doing to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of civilians, blowing them up, destroying them, killing their babies, killing their families. I guess when you speak against this, you're anti-Semitic and you are fired from your job. Welcome to America, land of the free, home of the brave. But how dare you not hire the transgender, blue-haired person who is mentally unstable and could only work 1 day a week? How dare you not hire them? You will be shut down for discrimination. But let's fire someone who is prominent in our business, who is one of the highest grossing people in our business, who brings the most attention to our business. Let's fire them for having a political view on something, on one of the biggest topics on the whole entire world. Let's fire them for having political view when we literally hire them to have political views and we hire them to speak about these things. Let's fire them for that. Why? Because it's against us, the owners of the Daily Wire, because we are Jewish. Oh no, we're Jewish, and she's talking about Jewish people committing crimes. We don't want to look bad. We're the victim. We need to get rid of this lady. We need to shut her up. NDA, contract deals, get rid of her. Fire her. Take all of her money. Make sure we squeeze her to death so she can't speak again after this. This is the ideology that these people have. This is the ideology that Ben has. This small little man with a small little heart, this is how they operate and this is how they move. If something doesn't work in their favor or they don't agree with it or it goes against their way of thinking, they get rid of it. They destroy it. They dismantle it. And then they play victim. Oh, it was destroying me. Oh, it was hurting me. Oh, we have the right to defend ourselves. Oh, you're a racist. Oh, you're anti-Semitic. But it's never the other way around. It's okay for you to speak about Muslims the way you speak about them, and speak about Palestinians the way you speak about them, and speak about your own people that you have employed for your own company, and fire them based on their race or political viewpoints. It's okay for you to do that. But how dare anyone say anything about the state of Israel and their war crimes or anti-Semitic? This is Barack Obama here at the wall in Jerusalem. And what is he doing? Since he's so anti-Semitic, since he hates Israel, since he hates the Jewish people, he is the most anti-Semitic president in American history. What is Obama doing here in 2016? What are we doing? He gives $38 billion in military aid. What does this say? The United States has finalized a $38 billion package of military aid for Israel over the next 10 years, the largest of its kind ever. And the two allies plan to sign an agreement on Wednesday, American Israeli officials said. It's so funny that the most anti-Israel president, the most anti-Semitic president of all time, signed the biggest aid deal for Israel's military for the next 10 years. The largest of its kind. It's like he wanted to break a world record on how much money he could give to Israel in aid. And you say that he's anti-Semitic. You say that he's anti-Israel. Look at the chart, bro. Look at the chart. Look at the amount of money that goes to all the other countries from the United States And then look at Israel. $230 billion in military aid has touched Israel since last year. That is sickening. This is literally sickening. $230 billion in aid. $80 billion in economic aid. $230 billion in aid. So over $300 billion pumped into Israel, their economy, their military, to make sure that they stay safe, to make sure that they're all good and they're all fine. What benefit does the United States of America get from Israel? $300 billion worth of benefit. What benefit do they really get being allies with this country? That only gets them into trouble. What real benefit do they get here? And that's the real question is, why are we paying if America just prints money out their butt? They just print money. Why are we paying taxes? If they just print money and they could send billions and billions of dollars over like that, why are there homeless people here? Why are there people struggling? Why is our economy inflating? Why is everything in our stores inflating? Why are our interest rates through the roof? Why are all of these things happening while Israel's getting paid billions? Garbage. It's complete garbage. It's complete hypocrisy. All you care about, Ben, on a personal level, all you care about is playing victim. All you care about is putting Israel first, and you don't even live there. You don't even cater to them. You don't even do anything for them. And the country that you live in, the country that has put you in place and is giving you a platform to speak and has completely built you a brand and a multi-million-dollar business, screw that country. Screw the people that live here, that hold it together, that fund it, that make sure the United States of America is a good country, that is a built country, that makes sure your business runs, that makes sure everything is intact. Screw them all. All praise to Israel. Give them all the money in the world. Inflate our dollar. Kill our dollar. Send all of our tax dollars. Make us bust our butt. Make us work until we're 80, 90 years old and we're dying. So that people in Israel get a bigger country next year. And more Palestinians die. And, you guys can colonize more land. And you guys can get the exact country and the exact piece of land, and you guys can do your rituals, and you can build your third temple, and you can bring your Messiah, and you can do all your hocus pocus stuff. As long as everyone else on the planet pays the price and the Jewish people are happy. It's so sad. It's so sickening. And the fact that you call Barack Obama, the most anti-Semitic or most hateful or anti-Israel president in history is wild, when he literally signed the biggest aid deal to Israel, has traveled to Israel, literally wearing a yarmulke on his head with the middle name Hussein. He's wearing a yarmulke on his head and touching the wall. You're calling him an anti-Israeli president is absolutely wild because he has a political stance and a political view. Anyone that has a disagreement or a stance or a view or a plan on how to do something is just, oh, you're anti-Semitic. You hate Jews. You hate us. You want us dead from the river to the sea. You stand with terrorists. You are a bad guy. Shame on you. Shame on your big baby attitude that you have as a grown man. And I don't really know how you run a news organization, how you employ people, and how you pay people to do these things. This is why Jordan Peterson is your little puppet, and he speaks the way that he speaks, and he speaks so vile when he's talking about a war, when he's talking about hundreds of thousands of people who are going to end up dead. He just speaks about it like it's some video game and, give them hell and destroy them and whatever the case may be. You and your network are sick individuals, and you and your network will be exposed for all of your lies and everything that you have done. The way you ended your last video was truth. Well, the truth will come out, and it will come out soon. Thank you guys so much for coming in today. God bless every single one of you. And until next time, of course, as always, free Palestine.